I am an actuary.
I am an actuary.
I am an actuary.
Welcome to the We Are Actuaries podcast, where you'll meet leaders who use their actuarial powers to solve a range of problems and make a real difference. I am your host, Julia Lessing, and I'm a qualified actuary based in Australia. I help actuaries develop communication and leadership skills to build great actuarial careers. So settle in, learn from the best, and be inspired. Today, we're continuing our conversation about great actuarial leadership, and I'm excited to introduce our guest, Melinda Howes. She's an actuary with over 30 years of experience, and she's led teams at very senior levels to deliver great outcomes for Australians in their retirement. Melinda is currently the Group Executive, Superannuation and Investments at AMP, and some of her previous roles include being a partner at KPMG and serving as the CEO of the Australian Actuaries Institute. She's here today to share what 3 decades in the industry has taught her about leadership. Melinda, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Julia. Great to be here.
It's really great to have you here for this conversation, Melinda. I've watched your leadership from afar, and certainly you're one of the actuaries in our profession here in Australia who has quite a public profile and doing lots of interviews and great things out in the public domain. So it's really exciting to have this conversation with you today. And before I get into all the questions about leadership, because I know you've got some really great stories and lessons to share, for those of our listeners who maybe haven't met you or don't know you very well, Melinda, could you tell us, how do you use your actuarial superpowers to make a difference in the world?
Oh, well, definitely for good, not evil, Julia.
Well, that's a
With
relief.
great power comes great responsibility, as Spider-Man said. No, look, I'm privileged to be responsible for helping 580,000 Australians have a better retirement outcome. And that's what we do here at AMP. I lead the AMP Super Fund and the Associated Investments business under CIO Anna Shelley. So she makes all the investment decisions, but I do all the admin and organising around that on my team. And really, AMP's been around for 177 years, and right from our foundation as a charitable organisation, helping widows and orphans right back then and helping the poorest people in society basically be able to live better, morphed into an insurance company, now is predominantly a superannuation business. We run a platform and a super business. And my super fund has people or members that are spread right across the Australian demographic. And what we're trying to do is help those average Australians have a better outcome. And where we think we are really making a big difference there is in the innovative post-retirement offers that we give those people. So we've just launched a lifetime pension, and what we're really trying to do is create the modern defined benefit for the average Australian. So a combination of the age pension, their account-based pension, and a lifetime flexible lifetime income stream along the lines of the variable annuities we know so much about from the States. We think we've been able to demonstrate that materially optimises people's retirement income, helps them have, in the first 10 years of retirement, our average member will get an extra $100,000 through a combination of being able to draw more out of their pension and a bit more age pension through optimising with the rules there. So that's what we're all about, and that's how I'm using my powers for good.
Oh, that's such a great way to be using your powers, Melinda, and such an interesting application of both the actuarial, longevity and future projections type skills that we have as actuaries, but also your leadership skills to help you lead that innovation and to drive that change and to have an impact, not just for those who are quite well off, but for, as you said, the average Australian, to help everyone in their retirement. So yeah, what a great way to be using your actuarial superpowers. So let's get into leadership. One of the things that many actuaries that I coach as they're stepping into managerial and leadership roles struggle with is just that sort of stepping back from the technical work. We spend so much time learning our technical skills, but the leadership side of things is quite a different adventure, shall we say. And so I'm curious, Melinda, with your deep leadership expertise. How's your relationship with the technical side of work changed as you've moved into those more senior leadership roles?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think all of us as actuaries take deep comfort and deep enjoyment from doing technical work. That's our skill set, it's our point of differentiation. And it can be easy to cling on to that a little bit too long as we move through our careers, I think. I was, I don't know, fortunate or unfortunate to be given opportunities to lead in various forms, you know, large and small organisations, but never had formal leadership training until quite late in my career.
Okay.
When I worked for Westpac, actually, who had fantastic leadership training. And, you know, in my 40s, literally was being given my first training on how to lead and how to train and coach others. And certainly the last couple of years at AMP, I've done a lot more work on that with my colleagues here as well. So what I see in my workforce and what I experienced as well in my career is people who come up through a very technical discipline, actuarial, investment, accounting, law. There's two ways to go. You can go deep specialisation and go a very technical route and be an expert in your field. Often that doesn't lead to broader leadership positions, but you can have a very valued career like, you know, chief economist or you know, career actuary, appointed actuary. Or you can go a more generalist leadership and management route, which I did, probably because my technical skills weren't strong enough, if I'm really honest. But I really enjoy that side of things. And what I see with people is it's hard to step away from that technical. You want to keep doing the work yourself because it gives you so much enjoyment. And it's easier. It's much easier to show what you're delivering when you're doing work than to be coaching others. So I often talk to people I'm leading who are brilliant. I mean, I've got a fantastic team. They're brilliant at what they do. What I say to them is you've got to get off the dance floor and onto the balcony because you need to train the next 5 or 6 people who are you doing what you do. You need to be up there on the balcony looking down, taking that broader view. What is the business, the super fund, the insurance company? What does it really need to be able to move ahead? And how am I best multiplying my power by creating 6 more or assisting 6 more people to really develop in their careers so I can then achieve more through them. And it's a very different dynamic to doing it yourself.
I love that analogy for a number of reasons, Melinda. The first one is that the idea of actuaries on a dance floor. I think that's quite a cool image.
Oh, actuaries are great dancers. I've been to lots of actuarial conferences. Actuaries are very diligent when the thing, you know, the agenda says dance, they get up and they dance.
It's time to
They're
dance. I love that. But I also really like that analogy, just that, you know, getting off the dance floor and onto the balcony, because it is that sort of different perspective, isn't it? And it's quite a different role. It's a different viewpoint.
Yes.
And when you can step out and have that wider view, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of value that comes from being in that position. That's not always an easy sort of transition to make.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, I found some aspects of it easy and some aspects of it really hard. I think the easy thing is it's much more fun I find to work on a problem together.
Yeah.
And to brainstorm and, you know, having that close relationship with a team around you and really feeling like you've got a shared mission and a shared goal that you're working on together. That's really fun and empowering. I think the difficult thing for me was, and it's only really been in the last couple of years as I've had a great coach myself and we've had some great training for the executive group here at AMP, that I've felt that I'm adding value as a coach to my team. Before that, I didn't know what to do. I knew I could add value helping them solve the technical problems, or that as a sounding board for them. I knew I was a great cheerleader, helping promote, encourage, push them forward. But in terms of developing them to be better at what they do and be a better leader, I thought, well, they're so smart. You know, they're probably smarter than me. How can I add value to them? And so what I've been working on is how to have those deeper conversations with them beyond just, so when we have a catch up, some of it's just what's happening, you know, are there any problems? Do I need to clear the way? anything you want to bounce off me.
Yeah.
And then there'll be things that we're working on together on their development plan. And so it's going to that next level. How's it going? What are you struggling with? What's the real learning in this for you? It's those, and they're technical people as well, so they don't like going there. And it's much easier not to go there, and it's exhausting sometimes having those conversations for both of you, because you're really getting into some deeper layers of stuff. And I said to my coach, I don't like dealing with that emotional stuff. I'm a logical, practical person. This is emotional stuff. It's exhausting. It's confusing. There's no guidebook. I just don't want to get into all that. But that's actually where the value is when you do get into that with people. And people, they may not love it, but they do appreciate it because they can see that they're changing. And it also helps deepen your relationship with the people you're working with. I think.
So not only are you able to have that coach help you with your leadership, you're able to then coach your team and staff members as well, so that they can also have that value and that that kind of awareness, I suppose, not just of their technical or their growth in the technical, but also how they are at work. And there is so much more to being successful at work than just being able to get our technical work right. So
there is
when we can work with
and
others.
Getting to know a bit more about them. I mean, I realised I've been working with some of these people here for 2.5 years, as some of them I've worked with before. I didn't know a lot about their backstory. And I thought to myself, why haven't we had those conversations? Why haven't I asked them more about themselves outside of work, or, what they did in previous roles, or, why didn't I go there? Really focused on getting the work done, but actually having those deeper relationships helps you get the work done more effectively. And if you have that, what we've been working on is how do you have that trust and no blame environment where people feel comfortable to take risks. We can do a lot more. You mentioned innovation before. To be able to innovate, you need to feel safe. You need to have a safe space to work, to raise problems without being blamed, to make mistakes, to learn from them. That's not many teams and workplaces achieve that. And it's only when you achieve that you really start to deliver and achieve at a high-performing team level. That's what we're striving for, to be a high-performing team.
Yeah. So it sounds like that investment of time has really paid off in terms of strengthening the connection with your team, but also creating that space and that environment where you can innovate.
Yes.
But these things take time, Melinda. So, you're already busy. You're a busy executive. You're running a super fund. You're managing all these people. You're spending time with your coach. You're learning new tips about how to manage your people. That's a lot of extra time. So I'm curious, how do you think about protecting your time as a senior leader? How's that changed?
Well, let me talk about spending time first and how you plan for it from the balcony. And then let's talk about protecting your time, because you can have the best plan that doesn't survive first contact with the enemy or with reality.
Great.
So in terms of planning your time, what I've come to realise is, and what I say to my leaders is, when you're a leader, you need to spend 1/3 of your time in your leadership role.
1/3.
You need to 1/3 of your time leading. 1/3 of your time is probably your doing, and 1/3 of your time is your self-development, getting out there, the broader picture, really being on the balcony. So 1/3 of your time, people are shocked by that. They think, oh, I moved from a technical role to leading a team. I might spend 10% of my time talking to my team and the other 90% doing technical stuff. And actually that means you're probably not a great leader. 30% of your time you should either be in meetings with your people, coaching them, supporting them, clearing the way for them, thinking about their development, putting in place plans to help them move forward. It's a big job and a big aspect of what you do. So 1/3 of your time, and probably that would be middle to senior leadership positions. Yeah, 1/3 of your time is good yardstick. Then how do you protect that? Oh, and I should say, the last 2 years, I was on a course where a program where we spent 60 hours each year. This is the executive team of AMP working together and separately being coached as a team and individually.
60
that was
hours.
60 hours. Now, would I have spent that time if I hadn't been forced to do it? There's no way.
Yeah.
I was forced to do it, and I went, oh my God, I was kicking and screaming, and it's the best thing I ever did. I think I've progressed more, and I'm not a young person. I think I've progressed more in the last 2 years in terms of my leadership ability than in the previous 10 years or 15 years put together. And it's because of that investment of time. So number one thing I would say to you if you're looking to move into leadership positions is plan to spend a lot of time getting good at this. Second thing is then how do you plan your time so that you are doing that, because there's always something that's urgent and important that's going to jump into your diary and supersede everything else. I started color coding my diary when I started thinking about how I spend my time, and I had, green for time with my team, and I had maybe it was yellow for time out there in the industry, up on, meeting with other people, going to conferences, reading about what's happening in the wider world. So having my radar out there, the sort of and strategic stuff. And then I think I didn't particularly color code, just reviewing and doing things. And then I had a grey zone in my diary, which was dead time, which was meetings I was going to that I felt like added no value to what my KPIs were, myself and my team personally, or what I was here to really do in my mind.
Yeah.
And that was quite sobering because there was a lot of grey time. This is in previous years in a previous role. There was a lot of grey time in my diary. And so I went about, I think everyone's probably heard the big rocks theory. What are your big rocks?
Yeah.
And if you make your leadership time, effort and skills a big rock, you put that in your diary first, then you put, your steercos and things you have to go to, board meetings, and then things that are going to help you achieve your KPIs in your role, however you're being measured. You have to demonstrate that you're kicking those goals. And then everything else is the small rocks or sand that fill in around that. But you need to jealously protect that time. The second thing I'd say about time is these roles are a marathon. They're not a sprint. So if you start unsustainably, now look, there'll be times where some project or some emergency, whatever, means that you've got to throw work-life balance out the window. But it is important that you train yourself like an athlete for these roles, and you make sure you are jealously protecting your exercise time, your time with your family, your personal time. Now, doing all of that, you put in your big rocks and your personal time, and there won't be much time left, which means you need to be brutally efficient in how you get shit done, if I can put it politely like that. And that's why you've got to work through your team. You can't personally be doing everything. Yeah. In fact, once those big rocks in, there'll be very little time in there for personal effort and personally achieving things. That's not your job. In senior leadership, your job is statesman, politician, getting the resources and things that your team needs to function. I politely call it the shit umbrella, protecting the team from stuff that's raining down from above that'll stress them out and probably they don't need to know about. Clearing the way, removing obstacles so they can do what they do, coaching them to be the best they can be, and then having an eye on what's beyond the next week, month and year. What's the longer term mission here and how are we continuing to move towards that, rallying the troops? That's your job as a senior leader.
We'll be right back.
Julia Lessing's new book, Senior Leadership, An Essential Guide for Actuaries, covers advanced managerial strategies designed for more experienced leaders. It builds on the foundation of Julia's first book, Aspiring Actuarial Leaders. Together, these two books offer actuaries a complete leadership development pathway. The strength of this new guide lies in its practical strategies that actuarial leaders can implement to improve teamwork and organizational effectiveness. We're thrilled to collaborate with Julia again. She's an inspiration to actuaries everywhere.
And when you describe it that way, Melinda, I can see why you can't be down on the dance floor doing that. You really need to be out of the detail and at a different position so that you can do all those other things and manage the wider stakeholders, the external relationships, and see what else is going on and protect your team from all those other things too. So, a lot in there.
Yeah, yeah. And time that you're spending doing things personally is time think about it as that's time that's detracting from actually what your job is. And how you use your technical skills then when you're in that position is you're the coach, you're the sounding board. So sometimes the best coaches in soccer or any sport are ones who've been a great player themselves. So how are you drawing on those technical skills to look at how your team's performing and how they're coaching their teams? And that's where you really add value. But you think about that, you are helping steer or shape or nudge maybe, 20 or 30 people. And think of the broader impact that has versus you doing something yourself because, it's just quicker for me to do it than to teach someone else how to do it.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time, particularly with new managers. Oh, it's quicker if I do it myself. Well, yes, of course it is, because you've done it so many times and you know how to do it. But if you keep doing it, you won't have the time to do all the other things that you've just described, those higher level tasks, and you won't be able to grow yourself, and your team won't grow either. So yeah, that's a real mindset shift. Melinda, you've talked a bit about wider relationships and external networks, from different views from the balcony. How intentional have you been about building relationships outside your immediate team, and what's driven that?
Yeah, I've got better at this as I've gone through different roles. And working in large organisations, particularly, it's a very matrix structure. So I'll talk first about relationships within the business environment or company you're working in, and then relationships beyond, outside, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
I think to succeed in any role, in any business now, you need to be working collaboratively across. You will have a certain span of control, and there'll be things that you can direct, but there'll be other things you have to achieve outcomes through influencing others. And so it's really important you have a great relationship, not just up and down, which are obvious to most people, right? You need to make sure you're communicating well with people who are your leaders. You're showcasing what your team are doing, so you're getting positive feedback. You're raising problems early, not hiding things. So open, transparent, productive relationship up. We've talked about relationship down with your team and how important that is. But then there's the cross relationships. Who are your peers in leading other parts of the business? So in my case, that'd be the people leading the bank and the platforms business. But then I've got all of my key colleagues who run other areas: finance, marketing, technology, legal and risk. Operations, how am I making sure that we're working collaboratively together? If there's a problem they're raising, I'm open to that, to solving it, or I'm leaning in to help them with something they're struggling with. So that is critical. And to be a good senior leader, that's a requirement. But then what my boss called out to me after about a year in the job, I'd sort of done my big rocks, and there was a lot that had to be done within the business at the time I came in. So for the first year or 18 months, I describe it as I had my head down, bum up, just getting stuff done with the team, working on some key priorities. And my boss challenged me, and she said, "Melinda, how much time are you spending out there in the industry?" And I went, look, I just don't have time to do that. We've got all these critical things. And she said, "Right, here's your development goal, 2 meetings a week with external people." And I went,
wow.
And this is at the time we're doing the 60 hours of coaching.
Yeah, wow.
And I went, I don't have time for that.
Don't have time for that.
And then she explained to me, this is a key part of being, she didn't use the balcony, but, this is how I characterize it. This is a key part of your role. You need to know what's going on out there in the industry. You need to have relationships with people leading other super businesses. You need to be, hearing what's going on in conferences. You need to be building your network. And it does help, obviously, it helps with your business goals as well. And I was just neglecting that whole part of what I was doing. So it really took her challenging me to see that. And then I realized, I haven't been challenging my team about that aspect of them being leaders either. So it's hard. You think about all those things that you're juggling as a leader up on that balcony, because you can see stuff that the team can't see. So you're worrying about things probably they're not thinking about yet. You're trying to then develop yourself. You're trying to coach them, and you're the hardest part of these roles is where do you spend your time and how do you divide that up, and being very deliberate about that, and not letting other people have full control of your diary. You've got to take charge of that and really drive it out, because otherwise assistants play Jenga with your diary and they'll just fill it up with sand. And then where are the big rocks? Where's the time you're spending achieving what you really need to achieve, including networking out there?
Yeah, wow.
And it's fun too. Like it's so nice to be able to just pick the phone up to someone if you're having a problem or you want to bounce an idea.
Yep.
It's great to have that network. And I think the Actuaries Institute is a great place for all of us to be networking as well.
Yeah, for sure. The actuarial profession, I think, is such a great, friendly, supportive network.
Yes,
not
it
just
is.
here in Australia, but globally. Really, we're such a small profession. So,
Yeah.
I remember someone early in my career told me that, by the time you need a relationship, it's too late to build one. So you want to be building them ahead of when you need to, as you say, pick up the phone and ask a question or ask for some help. When
That's
your manager gave you that feedback and said you need to be out there, 2 meetings a week, where did you start? Oh, it sounds like there was some resistance, but also some acceptance that that's what you had to do. Where did you start to set that up? How did you do it?
Most actuaries, I think if you give us a goal, we're pretty motivated to achieve it. So I got that goal. I went straight back to my assistant and I said, right, let's sit down and we'll work on a list and start making the calls. We'll just get those meetings in diary, and we just did it. Yeah. Again, it's in this role, I can't stress enough how important that diary management is, and your relationship with and I know not everyone has a dedicated assistant. The more senior you get, you will have one, and that person's doing the other half of your job. It's incredibly important to have an understanding with them about prioritization, what's important, what goes in first and what gets fitted in later, and how to make sure that they're not screening out important contacts that you don't know are happening as well. So often you don't see all your own meeting requests. How are you sort of got an agreement on what gets prioritized? Or if you're unsure, come and check with me, because someone might be wanting to meet with you that's, could be a really important meeting, but they're looking at a full diary going, oh, sorry, that can't happen this month.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it sounds like a really important relationship to build, that partnership with your assistant as well. Yeah. Melinda, you've shared some great analogies today. I love the balcony dance floor analogy for lots of reasons, as I said before, but also just painting that picture about, well, what does senior leadership look like and how should you be allocating your time, and being mindful that a third of your time should be around leading and coaching your team and not just doing the doing. So some really, really powerful insights there as well, and the importance of building wider networks too. I'd like to wrap up our interview today with one final question, Melinda, and it's this. Melinda, what's your top tip for actuaries aspiring to leadership roles?
Don't feel that you have to be perfect before you put your hand up to do these roles. Nobody has all the boxes ticked before you move into leadership. And it's okay to have some fear or trepidation about what you're getting yourself into. So go for it would be my first tip. My second tip would be expect it to be different. I can't count the number of times a new leader's come to me and said, wow, I mean, I saw when I was looking at becoming a leader, I saw all these great aspects of leadership and all, but it's been really different. Actually, it's very time consuming. I've got to spend a lot of time with people helping them solve their problems. And I just feel like all this stuff comes to me. It's like, yeah, that's leadership. So sure, there's some great positives. You might get a bit more money. You've got a bit more flexibility in how you do what you do, a bit more control. But you're now mum or dad to all of these people in your team, and they're bringing you their problems and you're looking after them. So it's actually a caring role. So it is quite different. So expect it to be different, and don't stop learning. I think it's so good now. There's so much material out there on leadership, podcasts like this one, free material that you can get, numerous institutes you can join and train yourself online. That wasn't around when I started my career, or not nearly to that extent. So don't stop learning. And as part of your 30% of time you're spending on being a leader, make sure some of that time is learning and developing yourself. Talk to other leaders. consume this information. Just stay really open to ideas and different ways of doing it, because no leader's perfect. And just think of this as a way of leveraging your actuarial powers more through more people and being able to do more good in the universe.
Being able to do more good. I love that. Melinda, thank you so much for your time today. It's been so wonderful hearing your experiences and how you use your actuarial superpowers to make a difference in the world. Thanks for sharing your leadership stories with us today.
Oh, thanks, Julia, and thanks for this podcast. It's a fantastic resource for people.
So there you have it, real life stories and practical tips from a leader using their actuarial superpowers to make a difference in the world. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to get in touch, subscribe, leave us a review and share it with your network. You'll find details from today's interview in the show notes below and on our website www.guardianactuarial.com.au. Until next time.
It's exciting to see Julia releasing 2 books in 2025. Her latest title, Senior Leadership, An Essential Guide for Actuaries, is designed for seasoned leaders who are further along in their careers. It builds on the foundation of her first book, Aspiring Actuarial Leaders, The Modern Manager's Toolkit, which supports new and emerging managers. Together, these 2 books now offer actuaries a complete leadership development pathway. As with Julia's first book, the strength of this new guide lies in its practical strategies, tools actuaries can apply to their work right away. It helps leaders feel more confident, grounded, and better prepared for the challenges they face. What sets Julia's approach and this book apart is how they weave together stories and experiences from a wide range of actuarial professionals. Senior Leadership, An Essential Guide for Actuaries, equips leaders with tools to foster workplaces where teams can perform at their highest potential. We're thrilled to collaborate with Julia again. She's not only a joy to work with, but also an inspiration to actuaries everywhere.